Early January every year in Galveston, Texas, we hold the Keep On Tookin conference. You remember the slogan, Keep On Truckin, from the Robert Crumb cartoon? And you remember, here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. Well, once we've taken the 12 steps, our job is to keep on tookin. We have main speakers, panels with attendee participation, and, this year, Father Tom from Oakland, California, who is AA and Al-Anon. There is also a Q&A session as the last session of the weekend. As the recordings are available, I will upload them here as a guest spot on the podcast.
Recording and the other recording as well, and I've been asked to wait for an indication that's all good to do. Okay. We have that.
It doesn't start till 6 technically.
Oh,
Hurry on.
mine says 5:45.
Okay, got it.
Maybe some people will come in. So we are going to start with the Serenity Prayer. All together. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, now it's time for Joe to come up and tell us the history, fill us in on the Keep On Tookin conference.
Thank you, Polly. Good evening. We're glad you all are here. My name's Joe McFadden. I'm a very grateful alcoholic because of the loving grace of God and the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous and strong sponsorship. I haven't found it necessary to face life or escape life by taking a drink or anything to change the way I feel from the neck up since June 14th, 1993. And for that, I owe you my life. And what I'm here tonight to do is just briefly give you a little history of this conference. And this conference came out of the idea when COVID came and we stopped having the meetings in person. And there was a lot of people who, it says, here is a program which is suggested as a program of recovery. And it says that. So here are the steps we took which are suggested as a program of recovery. When COVID came, a lot of people stopped tooking. And how this came about is we lost some people. And they didn't keep on tooking. You see, I suffer from alcoholism, and if you suffer from Al-Anonism, and not Al-Anon or alcoholism, here are the steps we took currently. And you didn't stop they didn't continue taking. And this came out of a psychological split second at a graveyard in New York, where Tim and Lucy and I were there. And one of our very, very, very dear friends didn't keep on tookin. And out of his memory, we decided we would do this during COVID. Just remember, we're here to have a lot of fun. But underneath that fun, there's a deadly earnestness that we must continue to keep on tooking. There's a line in the big book at the very end of the doctor's opinion where it says he became sold on some ideas, talking about Bill and Dr. Silkworth saying, he became sold on some ideas, and part of those ideas he was to pass those concepts on others, impressing upon them they must do so likewise. This has become the basis of our rapidly growing fellowship. Now, if that's the basis of your life, your world is going to expand and it's going to get wonderful. And this weekend, all the fun and the laughter and the power and the spirit and the joy that we're going to have, happy, joyous, and free, is exemplified with that. But if we stop pedaling that bicycle, there will be hills coming, emotions, alcoholism, rain falls, everything. But as long as you're pedaling and you keep on tooking, it's all going to be all right. So let's have a wonderful evening. And what we're going to do, we lit this candle. Did you already cover that? We lit this candle, and I may be going out of turn, but we lit this candle to keep the light on to remind us of that this weekend and remember some of the people who aren't here with us, some of those who haven't come, and some of those who have left and have yet to come back. So let's all have some fun and enjoy what this is all really about. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We are going to start with a panel on the topic of happy. We will have one AA and one Al-Anon speaker, both of whom will speak for about 15 or 20 minutes, and following by some sharing from the mic. We have 2 readings to start. Alyssa's going to come, and she will do the AA reading from 12 Steps and 12 Traditions on page 124. I have your reading right here.
I'm Melissa, I'm an alcoholic. Still more wonderful is the feeling that we do not have to be specially distinguished among our fellows in order to be useful and profoundly happy. Not many of us can be leaders of prominence, nor do we wish to be. Service gladly rendered, obligations squarely met, troubles well accepted or solved with God's help. The knowledge that at home or in the world outside, we are partners in a common effort. The well-understood fact that in God's sight, all human beings are important. The proof that love, freely given, surely brings a full return. The certainty that we're no longer isolated and alone in self-constructed prisons. The surety that we need no longer be square pegs in round holes, but can fit and belong in God's scheme of things. These are the permanent and legitimate satisfactions of right living, for which no amount of pomp and circumstance, no heap of material possessions could possibly be substitutes. True ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is the deep desire to live usefully and walk humbly under the grace of God.
Thank you, Melissa. And now Lucy is going to come and do the Al-Anon reading. Is that you?
Yeah. Hello, I am Lucy and I am a grateful Al-Anon. Al-Anon is not a misery-loving society. We are a people who have found a way to be happy in spite of what is happening, or maybe because of what is happening. Our freedom is found in our detachment, and our joy is found in our connection to our higher power.
And now I'd like to introduce our panelists. From AA, we have Josh, whose home group is PATS, P-A-T-S, Positive Attitude Towards Sobriety. And we also have Steve from Al-Anon, whose home group is Lakeview. So please welcome Josh and Steve.
Hello, everybody. My name is Josh, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm also a very grateful member of a support group for friends and family of Al-Anon, known as AA. That's for you, Lucy. I've been sober since March 18th of 2008, and Joe is my sponsor, and he asked me if I would speak on happy. Being the manic depressive type of alcoholic, I didn't think that was the best idea. But luckily, I got some more recent experience on it. Immediately after, my dog got cancer and died, and then my significant other and I broke up, and then a lady crashed into me and totaled the car, and then my mom was supposed to come up for Christmas in Tulsa, and she was in a mental institute instead. She's still a little manic right now trying to call me, which is fun. I'm not answering. That's how that works. We are sure God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. We cannot subscribe to the belief that this life is a vale of tears, though it once was just that for many of us. But it is clear that we made our own misery. God didn't do it. Avoid then the deliberate manufacture of misery. But if trouble comes, cheerfully capitalize on it as an opportunity to demonstrate His omnipotence. And man, I have had plenty of opportunities to manufacture misery over the past couple of months. it's real simple, you know. I just have to start believing in stuff that's not real, you know. Like, oh, you know, I'm never going to feel that again. I'm never going to have that much love in a dog. I'm never going to have a better dog, you know. How's my dog going to teach another dog how to do certain tricks, you know, like whisper or bite car tires and pop them? You know, I get those ideas and I dwell on them, you know, and I can just start to bawl, you know. I can just start to just have some pain. If I want it, there's a deep well, I can just take a little sip, you know, and be upset. And I think that's the manufacturer of misery. You know, I'm the one doing that. Now, there's painful things happen. Painful things have happened. And it's just pain. And I say that in a weird way, but it is just pain. I can make a lot more. You know, we can deal with pain. It's so strange how I can deal with gigantic catastrophes and just be okay, you know. But if I'm left alone to my own devices, I can make myself miserable. You know, when I got in that car crash, I let out one good F word, and then was like, all right, how do I cheerfully capitalize on this? You know, this is rough. Luckily, they had insurance. Everything worked out just fine, but still, I got one good F word in. And so, happy is a weird word. I've started to look it up. It's what are you supposed to do with that? You know, and it's insisted. You know, we're supposed to be happy, and it doesn't line up with the want machine inside me. So there are days where I wake up and I go, oh, well, what do I want to do today? And I take my little token of hope, and I go into my little casino inside me, and I go, do I want to do the right thing today? And I put my little token in, and I go, you know, and just watch the little thing whirl and hope that it's just going to like just go off, and all the lights are going to go, and here, you know, here's all the things, and yes, I want to do the right thing today, right? But that's rigged. You know, I'm asking me to be my own director and asking myself, where's this, you know, when am I going to be excited about doing all of this right thing stuff to do, right? And there's many times where I can get exactly what I want and be absolutely unhappy, and glad that you're not also. So it doesn't seem to have anything to do with this want machine inside me of do I want to or not. Everyone's waiting around to see if I'm just going to rouse from my lethargy and just all of a sudden just start being an adult, you know, and being nice and healthy and loving and all of the things that aren't intuitive. I am too. I'm waiting on that day to show up too. But I don't. Let's all hold our breath. I wouldn't if I were you. So I bought a new car like 5 days ago, and it's amazing. But it, you know, and the amazingness of like the happiness that goes with having a new car is whatever. But the things that brought me to tears of like happy, joyful, like deep, moving tears were things like I have like security cameras on my house, and I saw one of my sponsees like happy and excited to see another sponsee when they were like passing off the laptop that's sitting right over there, and just watching like knowing one that's just, you know, hopeless. You know, I don't even know where she is. She may be drunk right now, but she's probably in this room. But just seeing two people that were just not okay, knowingly going downhill for a long time, and watching just seeing the joy of two people doing service work together, that stuff brings me to absolute tears. That doesn't hold a candle to a new car anymore. It used to. I mean, you know what I mean? All the other worldly things used to do so much more for me, and it's just not there. And if you're still getting juice out of that squeeze, go for it. You know, it's not going to last. But so the attainment of happiness definitely seems to be the byproduct of doing the next right thing. You know, if I'm constantly trying to, you know, I'm constantly trying to help other people. There's a line on 159 that I found that says, it's talking about them, you know, growing in a fellowship. So seeing much of each other, scarce in the evening past that someone's home did not shelter a little gathering of men and women, happy in their release, and constantly thinking how they might present their discovery to some newcomer. You know, I can sit and be sad about the ones that are dead. You know, I've got a couple. I've spent, I've had someone shoot themselves on a 12-step call. You know, I've dealt with the mess. It's been, but that I could sit and dwell on that. I could miss that. You know, I could be like, oh no, I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't have any seemingly, bit of help to do that. That's for other people to do. You know, I'm not built for this. That's not good. You know, but that's not the path that I'm on. I need to consistently have my thought life on a plane of how do I help other people, because that's where the meat is. That's where the real dessert to this whole program is helping other people. Really watching the miracle happen. Like, I am not surprised when any of them go out and drink. I am surprised if they show up with a completed inventory. I am blown away. That is the miracle. I don't know if you know, like, anyone can end up in a rehab for a little while and just sort of trudge along. But if you show up to my house and you followed all of the instructions, there is a God. I can tell you there's nothing more clear to me that miracles do exist. And that's that really makes everything worthwhile. There's, I've had the bipolar ups and downs. I was in mental institutes before I was in rehabs. I've experienced bliss beyond bliss, the beyond human, that's how you get a bipolar diagnosis. When I was carving legal documents in the drywall of the solitary confinement to let them know that I was there against my will, they reminded me that they knew already at that point, right? I had been brought there in chains, right? So I've experienced that level of bliss that's just beyond the beyond, right? And it's just, that's really happy, as they say, too happy. But that's not what I think they're describing in this book. What they're describing is the effects of these steps that makes everything here seem less than. Everything on this temporal realm seem just a little worth less comparatively. It's like that doesn't matter as much as these experiences where I'm helping other people, seeing the change in their bodies, seeing it's so crazy. You can see the skin change color after they've done a fifth step. The next day, you can just see a different color on them. It doesn't make any sense, but I can see it across the room, like they finally did it, and that isn't, that's some homework assignments, you know what I mean? But it really is a constant conscious relationship with God that's transforming them. I did a lot of homework at school. It didn't do that. It had no candle there. But when I'm willing to dig deep and really get into all of this and really dive in, there's nothing that compares. I could make my family happy by doing things. That doesn't do it anymore. That I could have the greatest physical accomplishments. That doesn't do it anymore. This happy that they're talking about is something that is just beyond this world. And it's really simple. It's all laid out. It's just going to be miraculous to get that willingness to really ask God to help you to pick the pen up and put it to the paper and write down that thing that makes you unlovable, that you believe will make you permanently broken. All of that stuff needs to come out. It can't stay in you. If you have any of that, feel free to meet any random people here and say, hey, we have to have a talk because I'm holding secrets and I can't. These are the types of weekends where you shouldn't leave with any of that. There's plenty of people here to help, and they too want to be happy. So they'd love to help you. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Good job. My name's Steve. I'm a grateful Al-Anon. I say I'm a grateful Al-Anon because I work an Al-Anon program. I go to Al-Anon meetings. I have an Al-Anon sponsor, and I work the 12 steps of the Al-Anon program. I'm not an Al-Anon because I love an alcoholic. I love lots of alcoholics. But I do this program for me. I got my books out, and I started looking in the back for Happy and all the Al-Anon books. I couldn't find any in the whole damn thing. Just saying. There was nothing in any of the books that were about happy, but that's not true because I am happy, joyous, and free. I'm a big book Al-Anon. I love the big book. I go to a Monday night meeting, study. Mary Pearl has a book study on Monday night that I go to, and it's the big book in the Al-Anon perspective. And it's very good for me to do that and to look at the big book. In the big book it says we absolutely insist on enjoying life. And I want to tell you that is true. Although life was not so happy, my Al-Anon date is December of 2000, and I haven't found it necessary to plan anybody's murder since then, which is good. And I've learned to live life on life's terms. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what's been going on with me and where my joy comes from. My joy comes from seeing the light come on in your eyes when you feel it, when you see it. When you're talking to one person, talking to another, and you're explaining, what the disease is and how to get out of it, and you see that light come on somebody's eyes. So, a couple things happened. A few years ago, 3 years ago, I was at my daughter's house, and we're at my son's house. He was having a party, a Christmas party, and my daughter and my 2 granddaughters left that party, and my daughter was drunk. And about an hour later, I might cry. My 7-year-old granddaughter called me and said, "Bots." They call me Bots. They said, "Bots, can you come get us? We don't know where we are." And Mom's driving on the sidewalk. And then I heard her yell at him, and I heard click. And another hour later, she poured into the door. And because of the Al-Anon program, and because I love you people, I didn't have to talk to her. I didn't have to. There's no good talking to a drunk when they're drinking. It doesn't do any good. So I didn't have to say anything. The girls went in their room. They were crying. And she passed out on the couch. And so the next morning when she woke up, I had a talk with her. And she said, "I'm not an alcoholic. I don't care what you say, I'm not an alcoholic." And so I knew there wasn't anything I could do. And so, anyway, my wife was also in the program, and so, of course, we were lost. We didn't know what to do. So we wound up doing an intervention on her, and that went worse than that night. Believe me, she didn't want anything to do with it. And I'm just telling you that story because she has 2 years sober today. Okay. Now, I will say that she's not doing AA, and I'm not telling her she has to, because it's none of my business. All I care is that she's taking care of those girls and she's taking care of herself, and that's all that matters. So anyway, let's fast forward, or go back a little bit. My wife was diagnosed with two types of leukemia 10 years ago, and she had a stem cell transplant, and her sister was a perfect match, which was a miracle. The first person they tested was her sister, and it was a perfect match, so she had it. But her body never accepted those cells, and so she fought it for 10 years. For the last 10 years, she fought that, and she passed away, on Valentine's Day 2 years ago. The reason I'm telling you that story is because tonight I got a message from Bert's wife, Gail. Guess what? Bert just had stem cell transplant. Guess what I was able to share with Bert? With his wife. because I know. And that's what you all told me. Share our experience, strength, and hope. I can't tell you what that does to me. Now it makes me feel to be able to help someone else, And believe me, I know how he felt. He walked out of one of his treatments and said he didn't want to do it anymore. He wanted to die. And she called me, a few days ago and said, "What do I do?" And I said, "There's nothing you can do. It's his choice." When my wife passed away, she had told me that she didn't want to go through any more procedures, and so she had a blood clot, a couple of blood clots in her lung, and they wanted to go through her heart and into her lung, but her heart had gotten so big that when they went through there, if they nicked the heart, she would bleed to death. And 3 doctors said she's not going to make it, and one young doctor said, "Oh, I can do it." But she told me she didn't want to do it, and so I had to make that decision, and I know it was the right decision. This all sounds sad, but I'm going to tell you what. I can't tell you how many people have come to my house. How many people have walked with me through all that stuff, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder. I mean, hundreds of them, we are the lucky ones in this room, I'll tell you that for sure. And, here I am all crying and sad and all that kind of stuff, but the truth of the matter is if the newcomer couldn't see any joy in our existence, they wouldn't want it, And I tell you what, we are an attractive bunch of people. Crazy, but attractive. So it's amazing to me how God uses every detail of my life. I can't tell you how many different times that I have talked to somebody that's going through something that I went through. I don't know. I really don't know what it is, but it seems like Al-Anons have a little trouble with relationships. I don't know what it is. And then you guys sit around and make fun of us. That's what's even worse. But I will tell you that this program has saved my life. Am I lonely sometimes? Yeah, I am. I miss my wife. But because of this program, I have more friends than I can count. I have people who love me just the way I am. I don't have to impress anybody. I don't have to do anything. I just have to show up, suit up and show up. That's what we do. If you're here and you're relatively new, hang on, because this is the greatest way to live for a person like me. And I'm real grateful. And thank you so much, Lucy and Joe, for asking me to do that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for those shares, both of you. We have audience participation time now. So the guidelines are, if you want to come up and share, you get to come to the mic all the way back here. And you have 2 minutes, and Lucy's going to be our timekeeper. And she's going to have a little chime on her phone when your time is up. So we are recording, so if you don't want to be recorded, just sit tight, and if you do come up to make a share or perhaps ask a question, don't disclose anything odd or private, and don't break anyone's anonymity. Okay, the floor is open.
Uh-oh. Where did that?
Right, Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm grateful member of Al-Anon, and I'm very grateful for this weekend and beautiful people that I'm looking at to see y'all. Al-Anon is something that I'm coming on my 10th year of being in this club. I call it the best club ever that nobody wants to be in. And we have a choice to go to meetings, and we have a choice to do our own steps for our own selves, and that makes us better, or I am a better person to be around when I do my meetings. And my Al-Anon people are amazing people who listen, and we share our experience about what goes on our side of the table. And we share hope, because maybe today I'm having a really good day, and my people are healthy. I can say that today. But I was in a house full with 3 and me at one point, and I was not well, but I thought I was in charge of everything and taking care of the 2, one adult, one was still a teen. And I can tell you that it wasn't working, and it wasn't helping anyone. And I was, so anyway, I'm very grateful for Al-Anon and the beautiful people that show up with strength and hope. For me today, maybe it's me sharing a little bit of strength and hope. Maybe, next week it's me taking a little more than I give. But we do come together, and we are here sprinkled among you. Yes, we are. And we love y'all. We may not know you, but we love you, and there's people in our lives that we love, and we have loved through, and we still love them. Whether they're still struggling or still out or stepping in and out, we still love you. And you still love us. We're the crazy screamers. I am the crazy screamer, well, hopefully no longer. But thank you for listening, and thanks for letting me share.
Thank you.
How you guys doing? Ooh, that's super loud. Grant, alcoholic.
Hey, Grant.
Wow, now that I'm up here, I'm starting to think my sponsor probably wouldn't want me to be up here. But I felt inclined to come up here and say something. Amy kind of instilled some strength in me, so thank you, Amy. I recently started my 9th step, and the amends process, going about it this time where I'm not necessarily apologizing, right? I'm owning up to the things that I've done wrong, and the people that I wronged, how I've shown up. I've got to go take care of some stuff back home on Sunday, and I don't know how it's going to go. But a buddy of mine, I want to speak to how God lines things up. I started making these amends. Some of them were people that I didn't even realize I had to make an amends to. But God shows up when God shows up, and you answer the call. And after I make these amends, things just start moving. I start moving in a direction. And my buddy, I call him up, the 10-step situation, right? Get upset, you're like, oh my God, I can't get out of my head, I suck. And then you call your sponsor, you talk to 3 other people, find out how they're doing. A buddy of mine said, hey, I'm going to this convention. And I was like, yes, carpe diem, seize the moment kind of thing. And I'm definitely going to need to be spiritually fit for the situation I'm about to walk into. So I'm extremely grateful that I can be here tonight and for this program. I just wanted to say thank you. Yes, Grant, alcoholic. Thank you.
Hi, y'all. My name's Joni, and I'm a grateful member of Al-Anon. Since December of 1991, I've been active in Al-Anon, and they don't even know I'm an alcoholic. And I'm very grateful for that, because my sponsor taught me that when I was there, that I was to focus on that. And I had a tendency to want to explain, because I had 10 years sober when I went there. So I wanted to explain about alcoholism to them. And she said, they already know about alcoholism. Anyway, so the thing I found interesting about Al-Anon, my brother used to call them the Sisters of Perpetual Revenge. And the thing was, is I didn't have an opinion of Al-Anon until I came to AA. So that's where I got my opinion of Al-Anon. And so what happened was, I started liking them. First off, I cried in their meeting, and oh my God, I didn't want to cry in front of them. And then I started identifying. And what happened was, I'd gotten a concussion, and you'll hear about that later. But anyway, I was driving down the road. I went to my first Al-Anon meeting, and I said I was an Al-Anon. And the woman said, "You're not an Al-Anon until you get a sponsor, work the steps, and do an inventory." And I thought, A word, B word, C word. And anyway, I got out in my car, and I was blowing my steering wheel, and I was so mad at her. And I thought, I've worked more steps than they have ever known. Blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, I heard this thing in the back of my van, and it said, "Oh yeah, when did you lay on the floor with a concussion drunk?" And then I knew that I was in the right place. See, the thing that's funny about alcoholics is we go like this. We go, no, no, no. Do not touch that. No matter if your butt falls off. If it falls off, take it to a meeting. And so we go, okay. Take your heart out and leave it on this table. I challenge you to understand that Al-Anons have to practice their disease while recovering from it. I have sat next to some really freaky people in AA, and they'll scare you. But there's nothing like the things an Al-Anon can do stone cold sober. There's statistic after statistic about what drunk drivers do, about how they kill themselves, about all the different things. But there's no statistics in the world about somebody who's thinking about someone else's life and goes through an intersection and kills an innocent family. There's no statistics about people who get in fights and aren't drunk and try to protect people. There's nothing like that written down. So the thing is it's the silent killer, basically. They talk about a lot of that. But I'm very grateful that I found Al-Anon when I did, and that I learned that it was a separate illness for me. And it's very hard to practice your disease while recovering from it. So think about that. Thanks.
Tim, alcoholic and Al-Anon. One of the reasons I think it's very difficult to talk about happiness is, for me, it's a combination of two things at once. First of all, there must be no interference to my happiness, and then I've got to be actively doing something. Anything that interferes with my peace will prevent me from being happy. And I used to do these resentment inventories and fear inventories and whatever for years. I know we're technically supposed to keep doing them, and of course one does, but on the disturbance front, I've only ever had one disturbance. Something hasn't gone my way, and the only way not to be disturbed is not to have a way. And I'm sure he'll get mentioned 1,000 times this weekend, but there was a Swedish Secretary General of the UN who said, "For everything that has been, thank you. For everything that shall be, yes." And when I take that attitude that whatever is happening is God's direct will or is permitted by God, I don't need to understand why that is the case. I'm simply offered the opportunity to accept that. When I have that, there is no interference to my peace. I'm now at peace. But what am I going to do with that? And there's a wonderful line in One Day at a Time in Al-Anon. I've been in Al-Anon for a while as well, where it says, if I do what I think God's will is, I'll be happy, I'll be at peace. So my job every day is simply to say to God, what do you want me to do today? And then do it, and then go to bed. And then wake up the next day and say, God, what do you want me to do today? And to mind my own business. There we go.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm an Al-Anon, in case you're wondering. Okay, happiness is a great topic, and I just wanted to share I'm happy about the work God is doing in my life, and please remind me of that when things get really hard again. I told this to Steph earlier. So God sent me to Al-Anon a couple of years ago. I've been in program for 3 years this time around. With a specific spiritual experience that I didn't understand, but God told me, go to Al-Anon. And now they're calling me, I guess. Is it your mom? No, it's not your mom. And I wondered what God was preparing me for, and it's been my life since I got to Al-Anon. And so I do these 12 steps. I start to learn about how God actually does have, he wants me to be happy, and I learn about the relationship I have with him can fulfill me in my life. And so somebody asked me if I'm in Al-Anon for my kids. I said, no, I didn't know that, one of my children was going to be, moving from rehab to sober living this week. But it looks like God has me doing the steps and being ready for this moment. And when my child wasn't able to function at all in life, and there was nothing around me that I could do, that the school could do, that church or family or anyone that loved this child could do, and we had to turn, we had already surrendered to God. I had already surrendered my heart to God, that somehow he was going to get us through this. And I see now he was working all along, and God is there for our family, and I can't wait to tell you the end of this story. It's not over yet, and he's going to keep being there for me. Thank you.
I'm Melissa, I'm an alcoholic. Thanks everybody who shared. It's good to be here. In terms of happiness, I was listening to someone at a meeting, and they were talking about how happiness is not so much a state as an attitude, and I like that. I can get behind that, because an attitude, I can carry with me. A state doesn't necessarily last. An attitude's a choice, so that helps. And then the other thing I was thinking about is. Oddly, okay, just bear with me, but I was thinking about this Tupac Shakur song that he did with Elton John called Ghetto Gospel. And in it, he's talking about, he's saying he was very prolific, right? He was a great lyricist, say what you will. I didn't agree with all of his stuff, and I have to limit his music, but he had talent. And one of the things that he said in the song was, when I write rhymes, I go blind and let the Lord do his thing. And in it just reminded me of some of the work that we're doing with like meditation workshops in the last couple of days, and with Joe and with Lucy. And they're talking about receptivity, which is what he was talking about. He's saying, I'm not the author. He's written all these things. He's made millions of dollars. He didn't survive. But he was saying, I'm not the one. This doesn't come from me. And it's almost like his best work came when he just, closed his eyes and, was that channel. So that's all I got. Hope it helps.
Hi everybody, my name is Roger and I'm an alcoholic. I'm so grateful to be here, and just thank y'all for the opportunity to come to this wonderful event. And I just have to say, through a lineage of strong sponsorship, I've had the opportunity to get through the 12 steps and get through them quickly with the intention that I was going to start sponsoring people as soon as I did that. By getting involved in carrying the message and getting involved in service. I've heard about the pink cloud, and I personally don't believe in that. I believe that if you get into this and you just put your foot to the gas and never let up on this, that pink cloud never has to end. And I'm so grateful to say that I've just been able to celebrate my 4 years of sobriety on this past Tuesday. And I mean, this is amazing. You know, like it says in the book, life will take on new meaning. To watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. And so I can really relate to what Josh was talking about. I just had a sponsee message me this morning that he relapsed, and so it's not surprising to me anymore when they go back out, but it is so surprising to me. I just did a fifth step with a guy a couple weeks ago, and actually went in there, and he had a list of his own character defects already written whenever I came in there. Like it was just so amazing to do that. And then just my constant thought of others and how I can meet their needs and try to help them. Like, it's not about me. It's like, thy will be done. What can I do today, Lord, to just try to see what I can do to just add a bright spot or be helpful to anybody else, in of all of God's children. And I've had the opportunity to meet my wonderful wife in this program, and she's going strong in this also. And it's not about us; it's about what we can do to help other people. So I just want to thank y'all for letting me share.
Hello everyone, this is my first time. I'm in Gracia. I'm an Al-Anon, and I'm also in AA. I'm a double winner. I started as a Al-Anon, and my father-in-law, who was a very, very sick alcoholic who died of alcoholism, was my qualifier. And so I remember my first meeting in Al-Anon. I'd just been told, just go to Al-Anon. I was in therapy. And after the Al-Anon meeting, when it ended, I said, well, can't you tell me what to do? And everybody said, keep coming back. And I was like, what does that mean? Keep coming back. So I did, and I stayed. And 13 years later, I looked at my drinking and said, I need to go to AA. And secretly, I was really happy because I thought, I'm going to get what AA has. And then I have Al-Anon. Whoa. And truly, it's been a blessing to work both programs. I worked Al-Anon quite a bit, and then I worked AA quite a bit. And in the end, surrender and a conscious contact with God is what is really happiness for me. And surrender is not always easy. I remember when my husband, who is an ACOA, his father wanted to drive my kids from camp, and he was really too sick. I said no. My husband and I had a terrible fight, and in the end, I had to come to the surrender piece. And I remember going to my altar and saying, help me do this. I will have a meeting. I will have a weekend with my father-in-law, but he will not drive my kids. And when my father-in-law arrived from the airport, at the airplane, I looked at him and I thought, he's very, very sick. And we had the best time ever. My husband had done an intervention on him. He had continued drinking, but we had the best time ever. He went drinking away from us. We were in a cabin, and he went drinking in the town, and he would come back, and we had the best time. and this had been very hard for me to surrender to that. And then it was time to say goodbye. And I heard this voice, clear as a bell, that said, "This is the last time you will see him." And because I had worked the Al-Anon program, and I had prayed, and I had conquered my anger, I was able to look at him. I was so startled. I said, "Michael, I love you." He was dead 6 weeks later. Fast forward, because I was in AA, I kept walking my AA program as well. And my son, who had just had a brand new baby, was drinking alcoholically for sure. And I was scared to death. And I decided I was not going to talk to him. I couldn't trust myself. And I surrendered again. And 4 months later, he called me and he said, "Mom, are you sitting down?" And I said, "Yeah, I will." And he goes, "Mom, I've gone to my first AA meeting today." The will of God, the surrender to a higher power, a conscious contact every day. Thank you.
I'm Carrie, the message, or Carrie the mess, depends on the day, my sponsor says. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Steve, for your shares. Man, if these guys believe in happiness, we're doing good. My experience with happy was always an if-then game. You know, if I marry the rich husband, then I'll be happy. If I have the perfect kids, then I'll be happy. If I climb that ladder to a successful career, then I'll be happy. If everyone would just leave me alone with my alcohol, then I would be happy. But the thing is, I got every single one of those things. And I was the furthest thing from happy. I was miserable, busted and disgusted. And when I started looking, thinking that it was time to start to look for help, I believed I was an Al-Anon. And then that, Chapter 8 was written for me specifically. And if you don't know what Chapter 8 is, this is your perfect opportunity to read your book. But plot twist, I am in fact an alcoholic. The problem was me the whole time. It's really shocking and devastating to find out. But, I was struggling with, I had been miserable for so long and surviving on that and thriving on making everybody else around me miserable. That was my agenda. And I just couldn't fathom who would I be if I were happy, and I have to do all of these things and put all of these things in order and get to jump through all of these hoops and my sponsor would just tell me, be still, be quiet, let that be your wisdom. And my grand sponsor would say, where are your feet? Where are your feet planted? They're today. The future is anxiety, the past is depression. And that's how I have learned to walk in true serenity, and then happiness comes as a byproduct to where I am helping others and I am seeing that change, and that does make me happy, shockingly enough. And so I'm just so thankful for this program showing me that. And anyway, thanks.
Everybody, I'm Steph. I'm an alcoholic and an Al-Anon. And as I'm reflecting on the happiness piece, and I'm thinking about why is that important, is that I live with a family disease of alcoholism, which means I'm surrounded by people who suffer from this disease. And one thing that they can see is they can see when I'm rooted in my recovery and I'm helping others, and that brings me a lot of joy. And I had a sponsee tell me today that two of them were talking and they go, Steph laughs a lot. I guess one said, yeah, that's what I really like about her. That's really sweet because, normally without this program, I'm pretty rooted in depression and misery and all that kind of stuff. If I can be happy, others will see what this program can do. What does that mean? That means that there's a possibility that people that are suffering might see that there's some hope, and they might decide that they want that too. And so that's how God's working in my life. And I have to keep remembering that I just have to do whatever God has placed in front of me and be grateful for that opportunity and know that that everything that I get to experience is a gift because I get to help someone else doing that same thing. So thank you.
My name is Mike. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Yeah, y'all know me as Trucker Mike, and you got it wrong. It should be Keep On Truckin. I just wanted to say, I just wanted to introduce myself because I traveled up here from Maryland to be here. I met Joe about a year and a half ago via another Zoom meeting. And, I heard a long time ago when I first came in this program, happiness was an inside job. And I didn't get it back then. I have this hole in the soul complex, where I tried to take drugs, alcohol, relationships, material things. I'm retired Navy. That became like what I did in the Navy was what I needed to be happy. And, it took a long time for me to learn that, what it meant by, happiness is an inside job. And I just wanted to get up here and introduce myself and say hello. And thank you for having me here. Thank you.
I'm David. I'm an alcoholic. Okay, sing along. If you're happy and you know it, make a smile. My kindergarten teacher used to tell my mom I'd go a long ways if I kept my smile, even though I was a brat. I used to be a real happy alcoholic. Starting at age 16, I was really happy. And that happiness carried me through a marriage, 3 children. But the progression of alcoholism took over, and the happiness went away. I lost my kids, got a divorce. My name was plastered on the local newspaper when my dad woke up at 6 a.m. in the morning to get the paper, stating that I tried to fly an American Airlines plane out of Easterwood Airport. But that didn't stop me from drinking. And during the COVID times, I really was at rock bottom. Had a couple of DWIs, and I saw this man that I used to see at meetings that I thought he was a smart ass and he knew everything. And I saw him at a Zoom meeting, and I knew he knew everything, and I needed him. And after the meeting, he was still online, and it was just him and I said, David, would you be my sponsor? And he was piddling around, and he said, well, how can I not say no? And I thought, what the hell does that mean? And working with that man every Monday in his office for a year turned my life around. I used to be a happy alcoholic, and today I am a happy alcoholic. Thank you.
My name's Brooklyn. I'm an alcoholic. I just wanted to share how grateful I am to be here right now. Thank you so much for my sobriety and my recovery. There are so many people that I can look at in this room that have absolutely no idea who I am, but I have heard their stories, and they have given of their time, and they have been absolutely imperative in helping me overcome an absolute disease of my spirit. I suffer from a spiritual malady that has, by the grace of God, been overcome today. I'm a musician, I'm a singer. I've sang in some wonderful venues. I've gotten the chance to be around a lot of really what the world would say is amazing people, but I have never been so nervous, so humbled, and so grateful to meet people that I have today. And one is including my sponsor, who I haven't met ever in person. And when I got a chance to wrap my arms around this person today, I got to feel the closeness of my Creator, and to meet someone who, with absolutely no expectation, and for surely never got anything in return out of hearing all of my crap, decided that they would care about me and give of my time to help me overcome something that they have overcome. I'm so grateful. I'm so absolutely grateful. I feel the spirit in this room, and I'm just overcome with joy about it. Happiness and joy and freedom. This isn't like getting a birthday gift that I can be all, woohoo, look at this, and then just throw away. This is something I'll carry with me for the absolute rest of my life. It helps me to be a mother today. I get to talk to my daughter, and she wants to talk to me. I get to be a wife today. I get to be a caregiver today. And I get to look at myself in the mirror today and choose to see the good things instead of all the horrible things that I've thought about myself for my entire life. And that is such grace and thanks to this program. It's so weird to think about how the founders of this program, I wonder if they could see this room right now and know that they had those pieces to do in our lives, just how grateful that they would be and how overcome with love and joy that they would be. Again, I'm so grateful. Happy isn't even the word. I am elated and ecstatic to be here. And thank you guys so much. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Dave, I'm an alcoholic. And I was just moved to get up here and say something that I've never really said in public. And certainly from this forum, this ability to, and I really wanted to breathe you guys in. What a golly. I've been so fired up about this deal, didn't even know what it was going to look like a few months ago, and I mean, it's exactly what God planned for me. I can't tell you how grateful I am for Al-Anon. I mean, I'm not joking, but I'm kind of half joking. Like, I really feel like I need to call my first wife again and make an amends again. Because somebody, I don't know which one it was, moved me in a way I was like, damn. I could speak those words that they were wide awake while I was sound asleep, but to hear somebody put it out there, goodness. And I'm in a current relationship, which is good, I just want to backtrack. I imagine a lot of Al-Anon people would have just begged or pushed or prodded or done anything to get their loved ones to go to AA. But the idea to be a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous and know or have a notion that our life would be better if she would go to Al-Anon. Because I don't drink, and I don't change the way I feel anymore in that regard. But it doesn't mean I'm perfect, and I still have these isms. I'm still so just drastically selfish and unaware of it. And it's something I can't share with her because I don't feel like we speak the same language in that, you know. It's kind of like, you know, one of the one-liners, and I just screw up quotes, but, you know, I can't remember what happened a year, a month, or a week ago, a couple of days ago to prevent me from drinking and using, you know, and then you go to meetings, you sober up, and that's what you're doing, and then all of a sudden the Al-Anon that doesn't know they're in Al-Anon, they forgot all that stuff too. And they're like, oh, whoa, another meeting? Going out with the boys? You know, like straight out, you know, passive aggressive. And the best I've been able to do is just say nothing and kind of suck it up and share that stuff with my sponsor, you know, those feelings that I shouldn't have because I'm a grown man and I should be over this. And but I don't want to, I'm not a name it and claim it guy, but man, I really see God moving. There's people moving into our lives that I really hope my wife will connect with, you know, as I connect with them as couples. I want to thank you guys for sharing. I couldn't imagine being tasked with talking about happiness. Like it's nothing that, it wasn't like verbally told to me, but don't be happy. Don't be happy, Dave. Don't be joyful. Somebody's going to snatch that stuff right out from under you. It always happens. Whenever I get happy, whatever that is, it's like describing I want to be loved, but I don't know what that means. But I have a pretty good idea now. You know, obviously my kids make me happy. My grandchildren make me happy. I've got a group of guys in my life that I believe that they understand. And they know, it's like, they know how I feel. And it's not the circumstances of my life, but the terminal uniqueness that'll kill a guy like me. I was dreading that it would go by quick. You know, I'm pretty sure everybody didn't use all their minutes. I didn't log it. That's a wonderful self-defense mechanism. And I was born and bred in sarcasm. So I'll end with this, because, man, I got to irritate Ron at least once a day. You're going to get a taste of him tomorrow. What an awesome guy. But he says, you know, if you're so happy about your sobriety, why don't you tell your face?
Hello, family. My name is Larry Mosley. I'm an alcoholic. I got a dry date of 10/13/2020. Happiness is a beautiful intro. Thank y'all too for y'all shares. The past 24 hours has just been nothing but happiness. I cry a lot, so I might cry. At least I'm not angry anymore. But on the way here, I threw a big tantrum because I was so happy to get my truck back from somebody. I was so happy to get it fixed. And then something was wrong with the tires, and then I threw a tantrum the whole way here. Now I'm not going to get to leave when I want to. Josh called and said, hey, go to the airport. Oh, that's why I left on time. Now I have purpose. I was happy about it. I was happy to see a street liver at a corner store asked me a question, and I was just so happy to not be there anymore. But at the exact same time, I was very happy that I've also been there before. You know, I'm happy to see everybody here. There's scarcely any form of trouble or misery which has not been overcome among us. I'm happy that I looked at the computer and saw my kid's mom She's logged in on the Zoom because we're idiots and didn't think we'd be able to bring the baby. I'm happy to see, y'all call him Robert, I'm happy to see Bobby's baby. He just put the baby in my face and I started crying. Among them you will make lifelong friends. You will be bound to them with new and wonderful ties, for you will escape disaster together and commence shoulder to shoulder your common journey. I'm happy that I met Bobby and Josh 16, 17 years ago. We were a bunch of little idiot kids running around Kerrville, and I'm happy that we're people now. You know, I'm happy that everyone got to make it, everyone from overseas, and I'm just happy. Thank you, AA. Thank you, Al-Anon. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you, everybody who had the courage to come up here and share your experience, strength, and hope. I heard something from a lot of you that I needed to hear tonight. We have a break until 7:30, but we are going to close this session with the Lord's Prayer. We've been asked to stay where we are, whether seated or standing. And after the Lord's Prayer, the Zoom host can cease the recording. All together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.